Yay! So Deborah's coming in. Deb Johnson's coming in from Florida, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
Deborah?
in Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
You got like the whole East Coast hanging out with you two here tonight.
I love it.
That's true.
Hey, and I like your
Maine to
shirt
Florida.
here.
Maine to Florida, you got the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Maine to Florida, the whole
Right,
thing.
right.
Exactly. Wow, that is impressive. Absolutely.
Swami,
Well,
Nikki, you know my nephew in Sarasota. You've visited my nephew in Sarasota, Chris.
Chris is your nephew?
I've been to Chris's place.
Love it. Really?
I see. Well, he's going to be here. That's when when you said Dayton, I kind of, what is that? That's where Chris is from originally, right? So he'll be here tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow evening he's coming to visit us.
And Deborah
Well,
was
tell
at their
him we
house.
spoke.
Yeah, Deb Johnson met them too, met him as well, and Renee and the family. And oh, that's so great. He's your nephew. Okay.
Yeah. I've heard so
That's
much about you. I'm going to sign off, but I had to check this out. I saw it on your internet site. So you're even more fabulous than I've been told.
Oh.
Well, thank you. Thanks for saying hello. And we'll tell Chris that you popped in. So.
Yeah, come out to
Okay,
California
take care.
sometime.
Bye, Rue.
Okay, nice to meet you. All right. Wow, let's see. Who else do we got up here today so far? Oh, Brian Applegarth is here already. Excellent. Hello, Brian. Hey, Brian, unmute yourself.
Hi. Good to see you guys.
How you doing in Sonoma? How's Sonoma?
It's
you got
good.
blue
We actually
skies in Sonoma County?
we have blue skies this back half of yesterday, and today it's beautiful. So God, it's really refreshing to have this, right? So
Really?
it's been tough though. How are you guys doing? Is it still smoked in?
No,
we have blue skies also. Got a tiny bit of smoky in mid-morning, but it's, it's the winds coming off the ocean that are blowing it towards. My sister in Philadelphia said that she was getting California fire smoke. So I said, well, breathe deep and you might get stoned. I don't know. It's
there's so much wind burning up, really.
It must be that.
No, they say it's going all the way to Europe, this smoke. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Well, we have it here in Maine.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's just incredible.
Okay.
You
That
know,
is just
Nikki,
bizarre.
random. I spoke to Mary last week, Applegarth,
Oh, yes.
and we're planning a little family reunion once this COVID
I'm
stuff's
so
done.
glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wanted to connect with you. Absolutely. I've known Brian's second cousin, I think it is, since I was about 4 years old. And then I met Brian Applegarth at a cannabis meeting about 5 years ago. And this guy stood up and said his name was Applegarth. I was like, Applegarth? You got to be related to the Applegarths. I grew up with this family and you look like an Applegarth. So,
How many can there be on the West Coast, actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all related somehow. Yep.
Oh, I'm so glad you're going to do something together.
Oh,
Hey,
we
and
had
Heidi,
such a
how's the
good
city
call.
today? You took up blue sky in the city?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. We have blue sky. Well, actually, it's foggy again, but it is green.
Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. It's green and clear, and yeah, I mean, it just cleared up. It was really bad in the city, man.
Yeah.
Really
so,
bad.
and some other people, why is that Wiley Van Hoos? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Van Huss, but hello.
Van Hoos. Hello.
Hi.
This is my first time. I'm coming from Kentucky.
Oh,
Kentucky,
okay.
I
All
love
right.
it.
Okay.
Actually,
Fantastic.
next week I'll be moving up to Ohio to go to school for cannabis.
Where?
It should be the Cleveland School of Cannabis. I'm getting my horticulture degree.
Really?
Wow, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
The Cleveland School of Cannabis.
Well, you
That's
know,
fantastic.
Kentucky and Ohio used to be the North American center of hemp growing. So it may come back there soon.
They
200 years,
like
Central years ago, Kentucky was growing more hemp than anybody.
Over in Central Kentucky, there was this big old hemp field by my house. It was it was kind of
going wild, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of a test field though. They just let it go. It all died, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, why? But it's an honor to be here to talk to you. I will say that.
All right, great.
And I got my Swami joint, and yes, it is an 8.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. And here's another one, Tony Thetinter with a mask on.
I've been
How you doing, Tony? Where are you coming from?
Southwest Florida.
Southwest what?
Southwest Florida.
Southwest Florida. Okay, right. Okay. That's yeah, my parents used to live down in Fort Myers Beach.
Oh, okay, I'm pretty close there.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I can say. This is a red state, and I won't say anymore.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, I'm happy everything is well, and God bless.
Yeah. Well, we're still hanging in here with all the ups and downs of the cannabis business at the moment. So it's it's anyway. We're still waiting for Tim Blake to chime in. Isn't that right, Jack?
Yeah, I haven't seen Tim pull in yet.
So we don't. Nikki's actually calling him up right now just to make sure that he does show up. I'm sure we can.
We're a few minutes early.
Wing it for a while.
But I heard that same thing, Swami. I heard that at one point they used to say that Kentucky had the most cannabis plants in America because, of course, they're counting hemp as cannabis. So they did have a lot of hemp there. Probably still do.
I think they first planted in 1720.
They got a head start.
And if you listen to all these rappers, they always say the best weed's grown in Kentucky. They always say the best.
Well,
must be Kentucky rappers.
Those are Kentucky rappers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know the best weed comes from Indo, at any rate. So, but yeah, I was just reading some history of cannabis, and back in the old days when everything in the ocean was all by sails, right? Everything had to be with sail power. That hemp was what all the sails were made out of, and all the ropes and all the rigging and everything else, and even the sailors' clothing was all made out of hemp. And so people were required to grow hemp. All the farmers in Kentucky and Ohio, they had to grow hemp. The government gave them seeds, and if they didn't grow it, they would get fined for not. Can you imagine that? You have to grow hemp, and if you don't, put a fine on you. So, I mean, things just kind of, the world changes and everything upside down. And at one point, it's everybody wants it. And the next point, it's illegal. So we just keep going back. Well, did you get a hold of Tim, Nikki?
Tim's on his way.
Tim, what do you mean he's on his way?
Well, Tim will be right here. He's
wait, don't sit on Tipu.
Tipu, you gotta
move. Come on.
Tipu. Tipu wants to say hello to everybody.
Hello, hi, Tipu.
There's Tipu.
Hello, Tipu. Yeah, he's hey.
And Stephen, make sure you tell Sarah and Kate that Tipu says hello.
I promise I will do that.
Okay. That's the famous Tipu right there.
So, actually, we're at 4:19, so we're getting awfully close to the 4:20 kickoff, I suppose, to use a sports term.
Right,
or light up. Maybe that's the thing, the 4:20 light up.
Oh, and Jack Riordan, I just wanted to let you know, Tim just did the register now, so he'll be signing in right now to get the link. Great. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. And wait, and Sky. Oh my gosh, Sky Rainbow, correct? Also on mute, but okay, that must be the one and only Sky Rainbow. And Christine I know from Facebook. This is great. Okay. Well, we're going to have fun today talking with our guest, Tim Blake, who you probably have all heard of. He's pretty famous in the Emerald Cup world here in California.
Why is he famous?
Because he started the Emerald Cup and other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so do all of you know what the Emerald Cup is?
I was briefed by Sarah.
Okay.
You were, okay. You did your homework, yeah.
Yeah, I got a briefing.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
okay, good.
Good. Yeah, no, it's quite a thing.
Then I see Jonah. Hello, Jonah. How are you? Where are you coming from?
Louisiana. What's up, Swami?
Louisiana.
Okay.
Oh my God, we've got Maine, Kentucky, Louisiana, Florida. I mean, this is amazing. I just love Zoom.
Yeah. Well, Nikki, weren't you conceived in New Orleans?
I was conceived. It's the last time I was there, though. I don't remember.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, so her parents' second or third or fourth honeymoon.
Yeah.
What was it?
So what are the laws like in Louisiana, Jonah? Is it still super strict? Like, can you get busted for just having a roach or something?
Yeah, New Orleans, in the Orleans Parish, it's decriminalized, so you can have up to like 2 pounds. But I think there's still, you know, they used to arrest like 5,000 people a year. It said after the first year they arrested less than 500. So it was mainly people that had maybe something else already going on, like a gun or a warrant. But they pretty much, I mean, I actually lived in Trinity County before I moved back east, and I would see more people smoking out in public here. When I got back, I was like, wow, they've really let it loose, because New Orleans was already pretty relaxed, but it's pretty chill only in Orleans Parish. If you go, 5 miles west, it's as bad as it gets,
I see. Well, don't they call New Orleans the Big Easy, right? That everything's chill.
Exactly. Unless it's us or unless the Grateful Dead comes in town, then they're not so easy on them, I guess.
Well, that's ancient history.
That's true.
Marc Canter, you probably know about the Grateful Dead.
Indeed. My partner was Don Pearson, who ran Ultrasound. That was the Dead sound company for 17 years.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
And then when Jerry died, he became the president of Canter Technology. And anyways, that was Don. So we used their old offices for my company. I did about 150 shows. Anyway, smoked a lot
with
of
the Dead.
Yeah.
150 shows with the Dead.
Yeah, and by the way, each of the posses, the different cliques, each of the band members, well, the sound people had their own clique. And we had our own place to smoke. And what we did was we went underneath the stage, approximately underneath where Phil stood. And that's where we had couches and chairs set up. And that was our scene to smoke.
I usually
use. Really? Okay. All right.
Oh, that's interesting.
A little inside scoop there for the Grateful Dead fans.
Wow, that's very cool.
All right.
Very cool. Okay, and I believe Malin was with us last time as well. It is.
Yes, I was. Good to be here with you guys, man.
Okay.
Yay,
actually, I'm going to light up because it's 4:23.
You better light up.
We're still waiting for Tim Blake.
That's okay.
And,
Tim is notoriously late. It's okay. We're used to Tim.
Well, because we all live in Laytonville.
We live in Laytonville.
That's why we're late.
Okay.
Oh, this is Tim calling.
It's Laytonville. Got it. I
got
still have to roll, but I'm strictly cellulose, so still gotta keep.
Oh, you're famous for smoking cellulose, Mark.
Yeah. And Swami, the last time I saw you was actually at the Emerald Cup last December. And I want to thank you because I asked you for a bud, and you handed me this giant tree, and it was the best bud I had the whole show.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if you remember, but anyway, so I really enjoyed
that. It was kind of a blur those 3 days. We had that big lounge, which was great because we had a more relaxed Emerald Cup because we weren't selling anything, right? We were just hanging out and getting everybody stoned. So,
it was
but
beautiful.
what is it? Debbie, weren't you at the Cup last year?
Yeah, Deb was there.
And
James was there.
HIRSCH, they were all there, right?
I just typed in the chat. I said, that's the last time I saw you in person as well. I miss you so much. Oh, no. I saw you in Sarasota. I'm forgetting about that. We did see each other in Florida.
Right. You saw us. That was January in Florida, or early February or something. Yeah.
And we had a beautiful Cannabis session also later on that afternoon.
That's right.
Right. The Cannabis.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With,
and Heidi was at the Cup, and Tim was at the Cup too. Yeah, I do believe. Yes. Hello. Oh, there's Bubba. Bubba Puppy. Oh, Tipu Bubba's there. Yeah.
So what was the word from Tim?
So Tim is coming on. He's up here in Laytonville. We don't always have the best computer access. So he's walking around right now trying to find the part that's going to work the best on his property.
The sweet spot.
And that'll be coming in. And I mean, I could tell you a lot of Tim Blake stories before he comes on, but that's probably not really fair.
Yeah.
Which means it's perfect. So go right ahead.
I'm doing Tim's garden today.
Maybe I'll tell you about this one.
He's here.
Oh, is he here?
Hey.
Oh, there's Tim. He made it. Yay. You got it to work.
You're mute, Tim. You're mute. Take your mute.
Oh.
Jonah. Okay. I am not a typical. You know, they used to make a joke. They used to make a joke at my production companies that I could give tours but not touch any of the equipment because I would mess it up. And so I'm not. Evie's been set up, so I'm sorry, guys.
Probably a good idea.
So let's start there, Tim. You had a production company down in Santa Cruz making music and records. What was that all about, and when was that? Like in the 80s?
Oh boy, that was in the early 80s. A friend of mine was running a production studio in San Jose. He asked me to finance him. I didn't want to do it unless we started making music. I mean, our own personal stuff, like a brand. So we started with a record label. We had a record label called Lethal Beat Records with Bootsy Collins on it. And we were written up by Bootsy as the future of rap coming in because we were doing live instruments. But it was the worst year of the industry when we came in after Digital Underground. And so it's very interesting. We were working with David Traub on virtual reality. What you see now, we spent a fortune developing 30 years ahead of its time. You know, it wasn't ready for virtual reality. Now you've got everybody coming in and we're about to immerse ourselves into these environments. We were building that with Scott Fisher from NASA and Brenda Laurel from Atari. We had Jared Lanier and stuff. It was completely an amazing group of people. But so we had a record label and we had a production studio and we had a little children's program called Eco You and Simon Too. It was a fun time. It was the 80s and we almost made it. We got really close. We had a lot of great fun, but you know, the economy came in. What really happened was we were financing it with our crops and our dealing, and it all shut down because of the DEA coming in and busting everything. So we couldn't really finance and launder that and really finance it. And it's kind of like, you know, our partner Harry Rose with Rosette, he's going up against Papa Barclays that's putting $1.5 million, you know, into their marketing and promotions. We were going up against a little dinosaur called Barney, that little purple dinosaur. And Barney had $4 million up, and we were trying to do it with like $400,000, and we couldn't compete with Barney, not with the money. You know, it still comes down, even if you have. And they tested that against their show, Barney show, and the kids liked ours 3-1 over theirs. So it was really an amazing thing. But
hey, anyway. Tim, that's actually when I met you back in the 80s. I don't know if you remember meeting me, but I do remember meeting you.
What, at the studio?
No, it was at some party, dude. I was the guy rolling the joints, you know?
Sure.
I was doing that.
Hey, that's usually me, Mark. So we also say welcome to Taylor Blake.
Yeah, Taylor,
how
great
you doing?
to see
nice
you.
to see you. Right.
Yay. So everybody, this is Tim's amazing daughter who helps co-produce the Emerald Cup and much more. And wow, watch this young lady grow up into a beautiful woman over the years.
Yeah, wow, power pack.
Isn't it amazing to think? People think that she's been with us from the very beginning, but as you guys know, because you have been, she came in quite a bit afterwards. But you know, she seamlessly moved into the co-production slot, and she's now becoming the face of the cup. I'm really proud of her.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, Tim, when did you move up to Mendocino, and why did you do that?
I had gotten busted, and I was looking at 15 years. I ended up doing 6 months, and I had a chance to move up here permanently. Now, I had come up here before a couple years earlier with my ex-wife, Patty. And that was from another bust. Actually, there was 2 busts. The first bust, I got out of jail, and I moved up here with my ex-wife and to her ranch, her family's ranch at the end of Sherwood Road in Willis. And it never really left my soul. We had a great experience up here. It was after my dad committed suicide. It was just really a kind of tough moment for me. So we moved up here. It was really a wonderful time, but we went back to Santa Cruz, and then I came back up here permanently years later, about 12 years later. We came back up here, and I moved up to Laytonville, you know, and that was 92. You know,
I see. Okay. Yeah.
So can I just ask you aside? I've been thinking about that ranch, the Strong's Ranch out on Sherwood. Did that survive the last fire stuff? It must have been close.
You know what? They were okay. It was really more of Third Gate that really had the problem, and Timber Lane. The winds were really blowing east, and so Sherwood Ranch is to the west. They really weren't under the serious evacuation notices, but you know, the winds can change at any time, so they were all prepared to evacuate if they needed to, just like you guys. So
yeah.
All right. Well, actually, we should kind of bring people up to date, because some of you on the East Coast, they got the fire right outside of Willis, totally under control. There was one down in the Russian River area in Sonoma, which is pretty much under control. We still have fires to the southeast of us and to the northeast of us. We have blue skies at the moment, but we're, as people say, it's all depending on how the wind is blowing. And so we just keep, what we want is the wind to blow back into the area where it's already burned. So there's nothing new to burn, and the fire just kind of goes out. But actually, to be perfectly frank, we're really not out of danger yet. So the other thing about is the crop itself got really dusted with ashes from, I mean, everybody in Northern California, basically from Santa Cruz on up, has their crop dusted with ashes. And so there's all this communication online and websites and Facebook about how to clean off the ashes. You probably got it down there too, huh, Tim?
we did, but what I'm hearing from a lot of people is that some of that stress was good for the flowering buds, and they're finding that their crops are pretty good. They've made it through. They've blown it off with blowers and whatnot. We haven't really had a real serious problem. It was a little early on, and it wasn't quite the damage. Years ago, the fire a few years ago was dropping even more. So
yeah.
We're getting pretty regular.
Yeah, well, the other thing is the plants love the carbon dioxide in the air, all the extra carbon from the smoke. It's like indoor growers. They flood the indoor with carbon dioxide. The plants are actually really loving it. They're really green and big and so on. So it's curious. Yeah. And as you said, Tim, it's early enough that hopefully it won't be affecting the flavor.
Yeah.
Well, that's the big test. We'll see in the next few weeks. But it seems like most people, a lot of these depths are coming in though right now on top of it. So, I have to wait. Some of these depths may have problems. Oh, is that Harry?
Yeah.
Oh, we got Harry Rose. How are you doing, Harry?
I'm glad you're staying safe, Harry.
Yeah, really.
I'm at the factory. I have to be.
So Harry and Tim got a collaboration going. Harry's one of the world's best oil makers. We want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, tell us what you're doing, Harry. Can you talk through that mask?
I can. I could actually go outside and maybe even take the mask off for a minute, but we're doing a lot of stuff today, actually. We're making some bubble hash from some fresh frozen to make live rosin for Emerald Cup Supply Co. products. Just did some ethanol extractions for some rosette wellness tinctures, and just packaging up a lot of this year's first light dep harvest. And
okay.
Just like everybody else, we had to evacuate for a little while there. We had a really close call it started moving really close to us, and we had to go back to the farm and get everything out as much as we can, as fast as we can. That was crazy.
Wow.
They did let us back in, but half of southern Humboldt still is evacuated, but the planning department is giving passes out. They can go there for 6 hours a day to maintain their crops and animals and stuff, which was pretty cool for the white market people, but the black market people obviously are still shut out, which sucks.
Wow, right.
There's a lot
That's
of good
true.
techniques out there for cleaning your crops off, but you got to be careful.
Oh, we're losing you, Harry.
You're breaking up, Harry. You got to get closer to the microphone or something. Maybe it's a weak connection.
Yeah.
Got a weak connection
Got it.
outside.
Right
so-
at that important part
Yeah.
too, when you're about to say what we can do to save plants.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
And you
get
know,
back to
Harry,
Tim.
Harry knows as much as anyone too. So it's like we really, it'd be nice to hear what Harry's got
And
to say.
the Kangen water just strips all the residue right off of it. They look like brand new plants. But the problem is a lot of people aren't done yet. And so all of that soot and residue is now going to be inside the bud. A lot of the depths that just came down smell like barbecue. So I think a lot of us are so desensitized at the moment to smoke because we've been sitting in it. But I can tell you that the buyers, the sniffers they call them, that come up from LA, they sure as hell are smelling it. So I highly recommend everybody get some Kangen water and rinse their stuff off, because it really does a hell of a job stripping that residue off and cleaning the pores out.
Could you explain what that is, Harry? Because you broke up while you were explaining. What is this water you're talking about?
Kangen water?
Kangen water, it's been around for about 40 years in the pharmaceutical industry and manufacturing and in certain treatments in hospital. It was developed in Japan, like I said, about 40 years ago, and it's ionization and electrolysis filtration of water. And
You're breaking up again for some reason.
Eric
It's like
Branstad.
we're not meant to know about this.
how's that? Is it any better? Is that better?
Now you're better.
Yeah, I was on my Wi-Fi inside, and I just went outside. Sorry, everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
So Kangen, where do you get
So
this
Kangen
stuff?
water comes from Japan. It's a generator. It's like a filter that's been around for about 40 years in the pharmaceutical industry and manufacturing and chemistry. And it creates water that's anywhere from 2.5 to 11.5 pH. It also creates ionized electrolysis water where it is very high in hydrogen and antioxidants. 8 ounces of it is, when you drink 8 ounces of it, it's more antioxidants than eating a pound of blueberries. It's pretty wild stuff. But the bottom line is the 2.5 is a certain, it's basically a form of chlorine, but it's water. It's certified by the Department of Health to use in cleaning and disinfection, and it also kills all bugs. So I've switched to using this water for my IPM, and I literally, for all my bug and mold problems, russet mites, doesn't matter, it kills everything. And the 11.5 kills any mold. It also strips like a degreaser. And so I tested it with the smoke residue, and it definitely strips it right off. So I highly recommend it, because anybody that's blowing the ash off of their weed, it's still going to leave a residue from the smoke. We've all been sitting in smoke for a couple weeks here, at least a week. So it strips it off, and then as that flower grows around that previously exposed spot, you're not going to end up with barbecue bud, we call it. So,
And that's coming. And tell him where you get that. You got that from Eric Branstad, right?
I got it through him, but you can get it through Eric Branstad, his wife, through Greenhouse Advisory Group. I can tell you that you're going to pay the same amount of money for it no matter where you get it. But if you get it from somebody like Eric or Eric's wife, you get a real warranty, and you'll have people behind it versus buying it on Amazon where you don't get the warranty. and it's like a 50-year warranty. It's a bulletproof system. There's really nothing to break, and it's just easy to use, and it's really healthy, everybody. I mean, it's the only form of water that really cleans your cells out. And when I first started drinking it, I actually went through a bit of detox, and now I feel great. My mental clarity's back, and it's interesting stuff, but I'm really mostly excited to use it in the lab for making solventless water extractions and IPM. And then, of course, we all get the health benefits.
So are you talking about a machine to make this water, or just buying bottles of it?
No,
there's a number of models. There's a home model that a lot of people get called the K8. I got the Super 501, it's called, which is more of the commercial version. We have to use a lot of foliar spray where we are. So, you know, if you need to put out more water at a time, then you want the commercial one.
I know. Well,
but
what do they cost? About $5,000, Harry, or what?
The commercial one is $5,000, but I can tell you that most growers will tell you they spend way more than that on IPM in a year. And this is, you know, this means you can basically use water to spray your crops. So you don't have to worry about photosensitivity or failing tests, and you get the health benefits from drinking the water, and you can use it to clean your house with. That's what's amazing. So I don't need cleaners anymore. I got to admit, you know, I've been reading about this water for about 20 years, and I finally got to check it out. I was skeptical even still, and it's phenomenal. So
it
anyway,
sounds like every farmer should have one. It sounds like every farmer should have one.
A lot of farms are starting to catch on, you know. Eric's a sharp guy, and he's got it placed in the right places. I'm developing this outboard tank so that it can run continuously, and I think we'll have a nice little system for the cannabis industry soon.
Yeah,
but I definitely recommend people check it out.
His wife's name is Bridget, and anybody wants to check that out really should get a hold of Eric and Bridget Branstad, because you can actually become a distributor, I believe, through them, and get discounts and whatnot. And from what I've heard and what you're telling me, Harry, it's like just for this year's bud alone, you'd save your money back just saving your barbecue bud and bringing it back.
I would have to agree. Like I said, I really didn't want to say anything to anybody until I tried it myself, and I've been using it for a few weeks, and I was really blown away when I blew the plants off with the 11.5, because the next day the plants had that nice shiny bright green look, almost like indoor. You know, I was really happy with how the pores were, and you know, they were praying to the sky again, and very clean. But yeah, when you buy one commercially like I did, like I'm a distributor, I'm not really interested in being a distributor necessarily, but I certainly would help friends and family. But that's what happens when you buy it commercially. If you buy one like through Bridget or something, you automatically sign up so you can purchase it as a dealer. So you automatically get discounts on parts and pieces and service and stuff like that. So it's better to buy it from somebody.
Yeah, you look great, Harry. So it must be doing something well. You know?
It's a facade.
Is it good for COPD?
Yeah, right.
It actually is. My COPD has been raging, as you could imagine, with these darn fires, and it's great. It helps a lot. It really does. Like I said, I went through a bit of a detox. I think that part of it was I got saturated in smoke while I was back in my house. It was really hard, you know. I was scared, you know, driving down Alder Point Road, you can't breathe, and the smoke never ends, and you hit 36 and you keep going and it never ends, and you're like, oh my God, am I ever going to get oxygen? You know, so I started rolling around. I have a full face respirator, you know, now to drive around with just in case. I'm terrified. But I don't know. I don't know what it's like down where you guys are, but it's finally clear here.
Yeah, no, it finally is.
It is clear.
So wait, Harry, I've got a question too. Is you know, unless they suddenly decide that that lovely smoke flavor is the newest terpene and has some benefits, that would be nice. If that doesn't happen, then is there any, like, say somebody does, people have been asking me this, if they do have plants that are smoky, can they be used for other things? Can they be used for manufacturing or making oils or hash or anything? Or does the smoke flavor come through at that point?
They can, and you know, believe me, this all breaks my heart. I have several thousand feet of canopy myself, as well as our emerald cup crop in Laytonville. So I don't take this lightly, but smoke residue is carcinogenic, folks. So you really got to get it off of there. And so it depends on what your opinion is. I think you can probably polish it in terms of extraction to get it to the point where it's going to pass. I'm positive you can make it into crude oil and into distillate and isolate. I'm positive you can do that safely. And I'm pretty sure that certain manufacturers with better technology than I, you know, they do a lot of remediation. Some of these hydrocarbon and CO2 extractors can probably polish it into a very high cannabinoid separated product and scrub any issues out of it. So I'm pretty confident that it's not a total loss. It's just not going to be what they were hoping for initially is all.
Yeah, it's a pretty big drop though. If you're going into concentrates for distillate, you know, you're going to lose a lot of money from the flowers. And I guess what we were talking about, Swami, is the people down here in Laytonville or east. It seems like here for us, it hasn't been nearly as bad as for you guys up there. You guys seem to have really got it hard.
I don't know. Laytonville down there, we had a lot of problems. We're having to blow our ash off there every day, basically, and I'm sure there's residual. So I got to get some Kangen down there to blow that off.
We haven't seen the ash.
We had 5 really dark orange days. It was black at 2 in the afternoon, both in Laytonville and Willits. No, it's been apocalyptic is kind of the most common word applied to it.
The orange
sun. You guys aren't getting ash up there, are you? Are you guys still getting ash up there? Because we don't.
No, we haven't had just the slightest little bit. We had a really heavy coating as of about 4 days ago.
Nothing now at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The last 3 days, it seems to have really stopped.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah. So Tim, in all your years up here, because you've been in Mendo longer than us, you know, I remember it was 2008 there was the big fires, or I mean, we've had them before. But do you remember ever seeing these black, orange, dark skies like we've had? I mean, that's totally new, right?
This is biblical. We're talking about something, you know, and not only here, but up and down the West Coast, all the way through Oregon. Yeah. You look at it, it's heartbreaking to see the damage and destruction of what we're dealing with. There's nothing like it. And you throw COVID on top of that and everything else we're dealing with, the political climate and stuff. And we're talking biblical times at this point. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. We wondered what they'd look like. They're not quite as easy and smooth and seamless. I thought we'd kind of go through this little kind of party at the end of time, but it seems like we're going to have a little more difficult than that.
But that's what we've been doing for the last 20 years, Tim.
Well, yeah. But see, all religious traditions talk about the end of the world, right? They talk about the forces of negativity are in the ascendants and everything, you know, and somehow all the mythology, the reason we have it is that people made it through. Right. So if it's biblical, there's going to be another side. Right. And, you know, the Bible always does have the outcome. And so I think we can take, you know, but I think what has to happen is like, you know, it's like Joseph Campbell said, the hero with 1,000 faces. You know, people have to be their own hero. You have to, you know, step up and take what it is that you need to do to, you know, to save yourself and to save your climate and to save your people. And that's what humans do. That's the heroic nature of people coming together. So, you know, to me, it's like everyone doesn't do their homework until the night before. You don't study for the final exam until, you know, a week before. And that's what humans always do, except Nikki. Nikki's always in advance of everything.
No, not a test.
Right. But the fact is that, you know, I think we're going to go down to the wire, but we're going to pull it out.
Well, of course, we're gonna come around the corner. But how do you prepare for COVID or for fires of this nature? You know, it's extraordinary. And you know, while we got Harry there, you know, Harry really is a master. He downplays that, but between the oils that he makes, the tinctures, all the work he does is farming and stuff. Harry is truly. We're so blessed to have him on the Emerald Cup team, because if anybody could figure out how to work and that Kagan system. I can't tell you guys enough. I keep hearing it, not just from Harry, but other people. Everybody should have one. I mean, you and I, Nikki,
Really?
for our COPD, for our systems, our health, we should go back and do
Really?
that, because if you want to be prepared for these end times or these, I don't think they're end times, they're new times. We're going to transition. Then you've got to have your 95 masks, and you need to have that Kagan, and you need to have everything in place so that you can be set and ready to go, because we need that.
How do you spell this?
I want to get one.
With a K or a C? How do you spell it?
Harry's been waving it at us. So what is it?
It's K-A-N-G-E-N.
Yeah.
Okay.
K-A-N-G-E-N. Okay.
Great, okay.
Everybody write that down or look it up online or something like that. It's going to be.
It's important.
Harry, is that something similar to what Albert Hoffman was doing at the end of his life? He was doing some sort of oxygen additive after, and he lived to be what, over 104 or something like that. Do you know anything about that?
It's not really the same thing. This is he was using oxygen directly, and this is electrolysis and ionization of the water, which boosts the hydrogen molecules and creates this living water that's extremely high in antioxidants. He was doing it with oxygen in a totally different way. It was a lot more crude and less sophisticated, but obviously effective. So this is the Japanese version, This is one that you don't have to do all this complicated stuff and have this crazy setup, If you look at this machine here, this thing is small. This is it right here. There's my hand.
Okay, for scale, all right.
Yeah, so it's not that big. So the 2.5 comes out of this one, and the Kangen water, whatever you select, comes out of this one. And you just turn it on and select the water, and away it goes.
How much will it produce in a day, Harry? How much will it produce in a day? Do you know?
Well, you can select different pHs, and generally if you have the commercial version like I have, and you have a good water supply with real pressure, you can do about 2 gallons an hour. And the commercial version has it self-cleaning, so it automatically goes into a cleaning cycle, but it still continues to come out. And the only thing I can say is there's a saltwater tank that goes on it for the heavy electrolysis process that helps with that. And that tank isn't quite big enough for me because I use 100, 200 gallons at a time of this stuff. And so I have developed a crude, soon to be a refined outboard tank for it. So you can just have like a 5, 10, 100 gallon outboard tank, and you can just have it running indefinitely, basically. So
yeah.
Right now, I can run it for about 80 minutes at 2 gallons a minute before I have to dump more salt water in, or if I use an outboard tank, it'll run indefinitely. And yeah, it works great. That's all I can say. It's been flawless so far. Been using it for a few weeks, and well, I don't know. More to come. That's for sure.
Well, thanks, Harry. Let's get back to Tim.
Thank you so much, Harry.
That's really vital information, and we're really happy to have it. We're going to share that with a bunch of other people too on some of our website stuff, right? Too, Nikki.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but Tim, I want to get back and sort of talk a little bit about how did the Emerald Cup start? That was way back when, 2003 or something like that. Well, you were up here already for a couple of years.
That was the first one, right? 2003.
Yes, 2003. We came up, and Lisa, of course, Lisa Austin, and Desmond, local people. It was their birthdays on December 5th. And we decided to have a birthday party and disguise the Emerald Cup around the birthday party, not put a poster out, no public announcements. And we had a couple hundred people show up, tops, and people showed up in mass. Everybody thought we were just hoping we didn't get arrested. That was the biggest thing. And, I've said it many times. I grew up loving going to the state and county fairs, the smell of all the animals and vegetables and fruits and the competitions and just the wonderful camaraderie people have. And so we wanted to have a friendly competition. And you got to go back. Back then, people were still going to prison You know, it was really a serious crime. I look back, I don't even know how we pulled it off, really. I guess nobody expected it. We kind of just pulled one off on them.
How did you advertise it? I mean, see, Tim, you've always been like, here I am in your face, I'm just doing it. And that's one of the things we always applaud about you. But how did you advertise the first one?
We didn't. In fact, we went back, we tried to find posters. We have posters of everything but that first one. And we really didn't make them. We had a couple posters, and I'd give anything if somebody could come up with that first poster.
Did you go on Kmart or anything? Did you go on Kmart or?
No. Swami, we were way beyond. There was it was just word of mouth.
No, I remember Nikki and I were judges. So, but see, I was actually more scared the second year because by then it had to have been, they had to know, right? Because why all of a sudden there are like 200 cars parked off the highway, at Area 101. So
in December,
right?
Yeah. Well, they came in I remember when the CHP pulled up, we were outside dealing with all the cars in the nightmare of Area 101, and he pulled up trying to figure out what was going on because there were cars on the road. And, Marv was in there giving the awards away. I missed the awards contest. I mean, the ceremony. And he was like telling me, people were driving by and he's like, I could arrest that person. What is going on here? You guys are like, this is out of control. And then Marv's going, and the number 5 is like a purple Kush. And he's like, and what is going on in there? I have no idea. I don't even want to have anything to do with this. Just get these cars out. I'm out of here. And he didn't arrest us. He didn't come in, but back then you only had one CHP, Northern Mendo, not a lot of cops. What was he going to do? Calling in who? It really kind of shocked them. It was the second year when we came in. I remember when I'd gone and done a deal on Covelo Road. I came back, I spun out on the railroad track right before 101. My car rolled over and a CHP came up. I pulled out 20 pounds. I ran and hid it in the woods. And the CHP pulled up. It was raining. It was muddy. And he looked at me and he said, I think we can roll this car back up. And I said, you're kidding me. You're going to get down in the mud and help me rock this car up? And this guy did. Yeah. He got down and rocked that car up, and we got it back up, got on the road. And then I waited for about 15 minutes. I had somebody, he said, what are you waiting for? And I said, I've just had a ride coming. I wanted to make sure they showed up because I wanted to get the 20 pounds. So we got away with it. We went home. Okay, the cup comes on. Now, after the first year, they wouldn't let us put signs up on the highway so we could be safe because they were saying that they were going to shut us down because cars were on the highway. So I went to the CHPs, asked if we could have signage. They said no. So I went down and gave the CHPs a bunch of crap about the fact that they weren't letting us do a show and they were endangering the whole highway. So I threatened them. And so the next year, the CHPs show up again, and I'm thinking, oh my God, here we go. And it turns out that it's this guy. And he gets out of the car and he looks at me and he goes, pulls this thing. And he goes, you remember me? And I said, yeah, the guy that helped me in the mud that day. And he goes, I'm not here to hassle you. I just want the cars off the freeway. That's all we want. We just don't want any problems with you guys. And they didn't bother us that year either. It was really an amazing thing. It's kind of just karmic and fate.
That was amazing.
But Tim, at that point, they'd already let you get away with all those big parties in the summertime. I mean, because by 2003, we'd already had like several big all-night
Goa Gill parties, wasn't
rave
it? Right,
parties
right
in Area 101. And the cops, I remember they would just say, I think they figured everyone was tripping, so it was okay. They weren't drunk,
You know what? We didn't really get away. They didn't know about it really that much until years later. But it is amazing how many trance parties and wild psychedelic gatherings and things that we pulled off. I think they just, all the way through the years, they just haven't known what to do with this. One of the things I think that's helped is that I'm a cannabis minister, and with all the religious statues and whatnot out there, I think they really look at it like we're a protected sanctuary, and they've kind of never wanted to cross the line, feeling like we had some type of, right to do this.
Right.
Well, we do. It's true. We set it up. We put Ganesh at the gateway, man. We put Jesus out there. We got Buddha. We got it covered. They would be in heavy water if they tried to do that, I think. But even in the second year, I figure so many people had their medicals already, back in 2004 or 5, that they wouldn't have been able to bust very many people because they all had medicals.
They could have, they could have come in and made a big scene of that. Obviously, there was some thought amongst the CHPs that they didn't want to touch that. And we kind of walked right through that, because by the time we got into the third and fourth year, You know, we never got permits though. We never went and got permits for the show. It's really incredible to think back. We just did it. And, you know, now if you tried to do that, you'd get, you know, they'd come get you because you can't pull that off. But
right.
we were just blessed.
So I want to go back to the first years. We had like what? We always disagree on how many entries we had. You know, I always think that we had like 34 and somebody says 29, but I mean, there were just that like about 30 entries more or less, right?
In the first year, yeah.
In the very first year.
I remember, I thought it was 23. I thought the second year was 34. We inched our way up from 23 or 29 to 34 to 48 to 72. You know, nothing that's, it's kind of cute, but we used to think that it was serious work. And of course it was. We were taking it very seriously. But to judge 30 or 40 or 70 entries,
I know.
You guys feel hundreds now. And they're phenomenal.
We joints of them too, and we could try each one 2 or 3 times and so on. But yeah, we started out with somewhere between 25 and 30, and then we kind of doubled it every year. And then as I recall, the biggest number we had of flower entries was 600 and something or other. 640 one year, right?
We cracked 600 entries that you guys went through. That's think about it, phenomenal. I mean, it's unbelievable the judging that you guys have done. All the judges heroically have taken on on the flower side. Of course, the edibles people, those guys have it even harder, you know.
Worst. How totally edibles, I can't imagine. And then the concentrates, as we kept adding things, right, we had to keep adding new judges panels because Nikki and I.
How many panels are there now? How many kinds of judging, Tim?
We have over 40 this year with the indoor contests that we're putting in. We have over 40 contests. So not only on the judging side, but just putting the contest together for that. I mean, it used to be fun. Remember Rockstar Ray and Bob would come in. We'd go in there and take the 70 entries and go in the back and we'd start pilfering them immediately and keep Swami's hands out of those things. They didn't smoke it all. And it was really something. Now with, you know, with 40 types of contests going on, it's phenomenal. What Vicky and Taylor do, you know, Taylor leading the way is just incredible.
We have like 9 separate.
No, so they just
you want to say
something, Taylor?
We have 9 separate judging teams.
Wow. So and you know, for a long time it was just the flowers, and then I believe we added concentrates, but the concentrates contest to begin with was right at the cup itself. A bunch of guys sitting outside hooking up these pipes, right? And then to begin with, there weren't any vendors either.
Yeah, no, they actually snuck the contest. They snuck the concentrate contest on the first year. They didn't tell us until they were already doing it. It was a day of because back then concentrates would put you in prison too. I mean, serious prison. I mean, genetics and
longer,
seeds. You didn't see anything with that. The seeds would put you in prison. So would the genetics. I mean, the concentrates. So they snuck that in. It was the second year that it became kind of a quasi-official contest. Or we put it into the front room. Remember when we had the judges right there? I think they snuck outside that first year, but we started with that.
Yeah, they did outside.
We slowly brought the contest. I remember Ringo was frustrated with us, you know, Lawrence, because we weren't doing the CBD at the time, and he wanted a CBD contest. And you think back of how we just slowly built that show, and it's really magical. You know.
Hey, Tim, what year was
Tim,
that?
I want to hear about the forwards.
Wait,
what's up, Brian?
Brian?
Just curious what year that was when Ringo was advocating for the CBD category.
Boy, it had to be about the 4th year. It was before before Almond got elected. It had to be 2006 or 7. And he was really even madder about that. He came in, we didn't have vendors, but Ringo wanted to sell seeds. And of course you could get in a little trouble for selling seeds. And Marv, our friend and partner at the time, without talking to me, told Ringo he couldn't set up and he couldn't sell the seeds or bring them in. And it pissed Ringo off so much, he stormed out of there and wouldn't come back. And I had to apologize to Ringo and make peace with him and bring him back in because we love him so much and let him come back in the next year. Marv was just doing what he thought was best for us. But of course, I'm an outlaw. I would have let Ringo bring those seeds in, just like we let the concentrates come in. And he deserved to be there. But it did bring Ringo and I together, though, because it really formed our friendship from that point and really kind of brought us together. Although I didn't know about Harry at the time. Harry was still hiding out up north.
Did you ever hear about Ringo's like a dance and a ritual and his connection to cultivation? I've heard some really cool stories about him as a person. And his craft and his like rituals. Do you have any, you ever hear
Harry'd probably be able to throw that in. I'm not sure about that part. I'm more into the going down south with him. When I went, he begged me to go to High Times down south, and he was the only one selling CBD, and they were all doing concentrates, and not mocking him, but they were looking at him like, "What are you doing?" And he was hardcore down there, and I loved him for that because he really showed me that, like, these guys don't know what they're doing. Let's go down here and take this over. So my thing with Ringo was really trying to keep up with him on the concentrates and talking war stories, and then going genetics and going down south. Harry might have a story about, if he's there, he can listen. You got any stories about cultivation with Ringo, Harry?
Well, he was my neighbor for a long time, so I definitely saw him cultivate. He was definitely an interesting character, and once he got into CBD, you know, the two of us really got locked into it. Everybody thought we were totally nuts for growing no-high, they called it. But I was the first patient, and he watched me not die and recover. So, you know, he really locked into it and wanted to spread the message. And like Tim said, that first High Times Cup is legendary. That's where the Stanley brothers got their first Charlotte's Web genetics and so on. But Ringo is a very special guy. I miss him every day. And, you know, he was the kind of guy that I'm not sure who invented light dep or not, but he was one of the first people I ever saw do light dep really far back as a way to bridge crops and, you know, pay for your labor when the big outdoor crop came. He definitely believed in planting by the moon and the stars and the sun. And he definitely prayed with his plants. He prayed to his plants. He definitely believed in taking psychedelics and having rituals with his plants. And, you know, like nobody I've ever seen, you know, it was definitely his own rituals. And the other thing that was pretty special about him, which was insane, I mean, he really was crazy doing certain things. He would have what they called a Leo party every year where he'd, you know, all the Leos that he knew would have a big birthday party at his house, and everybody would take psychedelics. And of course, if you're a Leo, that's right when the crops are huge. So now you're bringing all these people to camp on your property when usually you're trying to keep everybody away from your property, and, you know, doing psychedelics and having vending and food. And it was a pretty special time. And so in terms of specific rituals, I really can't, I don't think anybody knows, you know, maybe Kat would know, but I doubt it. He was, you know, he had a direct connection with cannabis. Like myself, I mean, we're very close and spent a lot of time with the plants. And to his dying day, I mean, he wanted to die on our ranch, and they brought him out there to die with his plants. And he spent time with his plants, doing his rituals, you know, right before he died. And that's about it. You know, he was a special guy. And as far as I'm concerned, he was the godfather of CBD. You know, he didn't invent it, he didn't discover it, but he definitely found the right genetics and spread it to everybody. And that's a lot of his work is what we're seeing today. And people don't realize it. You know, the hemp craze and everything really comes out of his dedication to pushing until it finally stuck.
You know what, Harry, to see him down there at the High Times where people just were clueless to what he was even talking about. They were all doing dabs and getting out of their minds and he was just standing there in the light doing that was so magical. It was so inspirational because he didn't care. He was like, I don't care. This is what I'm doing. And he was like making history right there. And it inspired me to no end. He really inspired me quite a bit to just get out, to go out on the road, to go out there in front of people, to not care. And we should give him another special award, you know, just give him a lifetime achievement, because you're right. He is the godfather, at least of CBD in this country and bringing it into the commercial markets. Or, you know,
he brought awareness, you know, and we were both amazed that I lived, and he just like a light switch, went on a tear about CBD. I don't know if people realize, but the reason he discovered he was sitting on all this CBD is he was looking for the highest THC genetics that he had. And he realized that 40 of his strains were high in CBD, higher than anything anybody'd seen so far. And, you know, I had heard from somebody else that it would be good for my disease. So I took a whole bunch of his original Sour Tsunami 3-to-1, and I lived. And the rest is history. He stabilized that strain, and he kept going, and he gave it to the world, really.
Yeah, but Harry, there's a little more to that. You were basically pretty much given up by traditional medicine. That's why you came and found Ringo, and you were at like stage 4. You were seriously ill, and you were able to pull yourself back from that brink with the help of Ringo and the work that you did with the CBD. So, I mean, that's a really incredible story.
How did you take it? In what form did you take it, Harry? Oil or smoke, or what did you do?
Well, you know, before Phoenix Tears, I had gotten turned on to Dr. Rick Simpson, and he connected me with a woman in the Midwest that had what I had, and she had solved her problem by eating crude oil out of a vaporizer, like the spent residue. And Dr. Simpson was telling me that, you know, that cannabis oil is different, you know, because I told him I'd eaten it and smoked it my whole life, and, you know, what's going to be different now? I got relief, but it's not reversing anything. And he kept telling me it's different. He connected me with this girl, and I was in Humboldt. I said, hell, I can do this. I'm cultivating ChemDog. And so my first experience was I made some oil out of ethanol, actually grain alcohol from Oregon. I had somebody drive up there and get it for me. And we soaked it and put it through a really crude still. And that's what I started taking, was the crude oil, basically the full spectrum, you know, what we now know as Rick Simpson oil. And after about a month, I was feeling better, but it didn't really fully go away. And that's when Ringo had gotten his first results back. So I took his seed plant from the Sour Tsunami, and Ringo and I whipped up a batch of some oil, and that's what I started taking. I ate, you know, the traditional gram a day, like everybody started way back when. And in 2 months, I forgot I was sick. I went into remission, and that's when I realized I have to tell everybody about this, because I really could not believe where I was and what happened, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of steps in between, and the medical world failed me. I did try Western medicine before that, and you know, it really was a miracle, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's a lot of people can't believe to this day that it actually can reverse serious diseases like that. You know, permanent is permanent, but that aside, there's a lot of things that cannabis oil actually can do that people would be shocked and amazed at. You know, there's other miracles that I've actually witnessed since then that were shocking. And, you know, everything we're doing now, I hope and pray, is going to lead to a day when the world is truly going to see the power of this plant, because it's, as we all know, it's the plant, and there's so much more to give once we're actually allowed access to real testing and heavier duty analysis and analytical equipment like the rest of the world uses.
So I was tracking Harry, guys, when we were closing our deal with Joey, and there was an opportunity to possibly work with Harry. And I literally told our new partner that we should stop in our tracks and not even close my deal and go find a deal with Harry, because of his brilliance and his dedication to the medicinal side. What I'd found is not only is a genius on the medicinal side, but Harry also is he can keep up with anyone on the solventless concentrates. He can smoke as much as anybody, and he makes the best concentrates in the world. So Emerald Cup Supply got a 2-for-1. We got a joint deal. So we cut a deal with Harry to become partners of sorts. And we're talking about merging right now. And I've gone out for the past year and a half and been an evangelist for Harry, really touting the brilliance of him. We had an opportunity to talk to the leading Israelis. They're doing 17 clinical trials for medicinal cannabis in Israel right now. And after 30 minutes on the phone, they'd realized that Harry was years ahead of them. He'd done 10,000 case studies for people and over 2,000 for animals. And he was so far ahead of them in terms of standardized SOPs and clinical data. They were stunned and amazed. And likewise, the University of Virginia, which is doing a clinical trial, realized that also. But they wanted to come in and do a single cannabinoid. They wanted to isolate it, and Harry didn't want to do that because, of course, he doesn't believe that that's the way to heal people. So it's really, he's stuck. It's like he said, by the time they get that done, Harry will heal another 1 million people with the tinctures and the medicines that he's creating and we're working together on. So I'm very, very honored and proud to be partners with Harry and be an evangelist for Harry and Rosette Wellness and Emerald Cup Supply together.
Wow, well.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that, Tim. And yeah, we've heard about Rick Simpson oil for a long time. And, you know, the CBD, we had some CBD tests way back in 2007 when at Harborside was first testing for CBD. But we didn't know what strain it was.
They couldn't figure out what this weed was that looked so good and didn't do anything to you.
You know, it was always a no high kind of weed and so on.
Yeah, but in Harry's case, he's taken it to the level where he's one of the first people extracting THCA and CBDA and putting those into formulations so that he could basically diagnose and make specific protocols for different illnesses. That's what the Israelis were completely blown away by. I can't speak about how far Harry's taken that and where that's gone. So, you know, it's like having an MVP all-star on your team that you know, cleanup hitter. So it's we're really honored and grateful for Harry being part of us being part of Harry.
Yeah. Well, that's good. What Harry said about the science, and when all the university medical schools have a free light, you know, green light to do cannabis research, and they have all their big heavy equipment they can bring on it, you know, they'll be isolating things, but I think we'll always make sure that we do the, you know, the full spectrum, you know, the whole plant extracts, you know, that's where the magic is. And that's the thing. And, you know, I'm really happy to hear about your question, Brian, that brought out Harry talking about the rituals that Ringo was doing, right? And that's a very important part because Indian medicine has been using cannabis for thousands of years, and that's Ayurvedic medicine. And when you make Ayurvedic medicine, you do the same sort of ritual. You do a ritual with the planting. You plant according to the moon and the sun. You do various invocations and prayers, and each preparation has its own particular mantra, right? So, for example, we have a mantra for cannabis that we use when we start our seeds and so on. So this is a very important part, and we want to make people aware that that's one of the great things that made Ringo unique that way and made his particular genetic experiments work, that he wanted CBD to manifest. You know, he wished CBD to manifest, and that need was what, you know, caused it to appear and manifest in that moment. And it manifested through a ritual and a spiritual context. So that's its healing power. That's fantastic.
You know what, Derek, who's won more awards for the flowers than anyone, you guys know Derek well, within the Pines and whatnot. He's like an elfin, you know, angelic figure. And he would hand water still does hand water all of his plants and pray over them as he's doing it. And I think he said he won 17 awards or something, some amazing amount of awards. And they ask about his secret power, and it's because he prays and he has a reverence for them, and he brings that in sacrament. So it's very.
Well, Derek, that was one year at the Cup when Derek was in the Pines. It was called. We only knew it as number 34, and it's the only thing that ever won the Cup. It had, I believe, it had 8 first place votes and 1 second place vote. And it's the only thing that's been that kind of unanimity for it. It just took this world by storm, that first in the Pines that Derek brought to the Cup. So, but the Cup scene now has been this kind of, has raised the consciousness for cannabis for so many people in a way that beyond that, the High Times Cup and all of that, because it was always centered on the growers, right? Always centered on the people actually really making it. And so I think that's been the charm of the cup. And, it's really, it's been raised the level of conversation. And so it's an amazing thing. What do you want to say about that whole kind of development? Like you were talking from infancy of 30 contestants to 600 and now 40 different panels and so on.
And actually, Tim, if I can interject, I would love to hear about, giving us all some idea of the future of the cup, what you're envisioning at this point. I know it's constantly changing, but.
Yeah, well, you know what? It was a synchronistic thing with the entries going up and also the size of the show. It's always about the community coming together also. And all of a sudden we went from Area 101 to Humboldt and then to Sonoma County, which we all know, and it just grew to 30,000 people. And I think that what really makes me proud is that the community comes together each year. We know that it's our event, it's us coming together. Nobody's been bought out. It's all farmers, it's all product makers, it's all people from the industry coming in. I really love seeing that and seeing that evolution. The contest and the blowing up as it got bigger. We know what's happened is that you said that 8 out of 9 finally agreed on the awards, because the flowers we've always kept just everything against each other, Blue Dream against OG and everything else, and we're finally changing that to go into terpene profiles so that we can actually judge things fairly, because you guys have watched this for years. You get the judges together and you got the kind of the OG fuel judges, and then you got the people that love the the flavors, the perps and whatnot, and then you got you got all these different judges that have their own favorites. And so it's been hard for us to really come together on that judging and really get that top 20 together. But now we're going to separate some of that and bring the terpene profiles in and really make it a little more well-rounded. So we're excited about the future of the cup. Taylor's been working very hard. We really wanted to pick up and move the cup to LA and do the awards ceremony down in LA. We feel that, that's the biggest market. That's where we want. When we moved to Santa Rosa, half the people wouldn't come down the first year because they thought we were sacrilegious leaving the triangle. After the first year, they realized that we were connecting all the farmers to the consumer markets, and it was really very, very good for them. Well, we look at the same thing in LA. It's the biggest market. Where we want to educate, where do we want to inspire, where do we want to teach people about outdoor, flowers and products? It's in LA. And where can we get that response for the vendors? The same thing, the power of LA. So we really wanted to go down there. We were on the verge of being able to do that. We had a deal going with Long Beach. We were ready to sign that. And now because of COVID, we had to back up with that. So we're kind of in limbo with that right now. And so we're looking at where we're going to do it. We had to stand down for Santa Rosa this year. Sonoma County Fairgrounds can't get us into the spring. Everybody knows we've backed up the contest now till the end of January for the entries, so that, just so everybody knows, people have lobbied me for years to move the contest after the first of the year so that people had more time. Swami, I know you've been sitting there all the way through, so people could cure their bud properly. People could cure their bud properly. The judges had more time to judge. It just gave everybody some room. And as it became legal with getting your flowers to the distributors, tested, everybody back to the judges, it became insane for you guys to be able to judge that, and hard for the farmers to get their products, cured, all the flowers cured. So we're backing up the contest. We're going to move it into the end of January. We're going to give you guys a month and a half. We're going to do the award show in March. Now, where we're going to do that, we're in limbo. We've got a couple of places in mind. Taylor's going to probably reach through the phone, reach through the airwaves and knock me upside the head if I say too much, but we have a couple of places we'd like to go. We're not sure we're going to go. Obviously, COVID's still influencing all of us. We go back and forth in our team because I'm one of those people that I think that COVID is going to go away and we're going to really go into a normalization here in 2021. And you can look at the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania that just struck down the whole lockdown and said it was unconstitutional. You're seeing all these lawsuits coming in. But for our show, March, we're right at the front of that. And so are we going to be able to do it comfortably and, in person and have people, not have to social distance? It's really up in the air right now. We're going to see over the next 60 days. Okay. You got anything to throw in there, Taylor? Go ahead, Taylor. Huh? You got to take your sound.
Oh, unmute. Sorry. I always have this like funny fear I tell Tim about because like he's always like, he likes to talk about stuff. So sometimes when you're like, Tim, this is a secret, we're not going to talk about it. He's like, got it. Then he gets on like a video thing and he's like, blah, 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 secret. So you did good though. You did good. You did. No, yeah, just what Tim said. We're really excited. You did well. Yeah, you did well. You did great. But we don't know where we're going to be in March, but we're just hopeful that we'll be somewhere in Northern California. And obviously you guys will be wherever we are. So you're kind of stuck going with us.
Well, and one of the things that we have thrown in there, guys, is we've included the indoor. I know you guys and a lot of the sun-grown farmers felt that probably wasn't the way to go, but we've allowed the concentrates, we've allowed all the hydrocarbon to come in, we've allowed everything in. The only thing that's not in, it was indoor. And, you know, how can you punish them continually and say they can't be part of the contest? There's a lot of good farmers out there doing organic, you know, close to sustainable indoor farming, and we had to acknowledge that. So we're allowing that into the contest this year, and we're really excited about that. And we're going to keep the same judges, so you guys are going to get a shot, even though you guys don't smoke much indoor. You know, we still see the same thing. So we're going to, but it's going to be fun, and we're going to move the contest for the first time, you guys. We're going to move it out of Area 101 for the flowers, the judging. Now, for all these years, the judging for the flowers has always taken place at Area 101. We make all the judges agree to come up for 2, 3, or 4 meetings at Area 101. It's a long ways to go. It's a real hard job. And so because we're going statewide more and more, and we want judges from all over the state, we can't have judges from LA coming up to Area 101. It's not fair. We've got to balance that out. So we've talked about possibly Santa Cruz. We're not sure where we're going to go, but we're going to find somewhere we can have the couple of main judges contests with the flowers, specifically in person in a middle of the state place where the Southern California people can get to also. So we won't be at Area 101 this year, which is a big change.
Wow. Great memories there. Some of those meetings last like 8 hours of just nonstop. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was
smoking orgies. They're amazing.
Well, I did want to talk about the judging a little bit also, because, you know, we talk about, there was always an astounding amount of agreement in the end. Maybe not everyone was agreed on number 1, but if you took the top 3 or top 4 of every year, they were in every judge's top 10. And it just went, it came to sort of like their personal taste. Maybe they wanted the Kush in the number 1, they wanted the floral or the piney in the number 1, but everyone had the top 3 in their top 5 or 10. And so that kind of agreement was there. And then we were just down to, I remember a time we'd come in and Tim say, we'd say, well, okay, we got it all figured out, Tim. And Tim would say to the whole judges panel, we're all stoned. We've been smoking for hours and hours now. Yeah, we got to figure it out. And he says, are you sure? Right? Let's take the top 5 and let's smoke them all again. Right? So we take the top 5 out of the jars. We put them on the plate. There's a big bud sitting there. We roll up a big fatty of each one, and we get like, if there'd be a tie for 2 places, and so we'd have 1 joint of each, right? And just, and which one do you still like better, right? Because we had to break the tie. But there was this whole kind of camaraderie that became amongst the judges, because, as Tim did say, it's hard work. It really is, because everyone growing put in their heart and soul into the plant that they're entering, and they think it's the best they ever grew. So you have to give them that much respect, right, to think. And so that the judges do agree in the end is always kind of pretty amazing, actually, that we come down and narrow it down out of, you know, not the top 20, and then to put them in order. That's the hard part, right?
But you guys, you know, we always did it by the judging. We have a scoring system. And what I always felt and always will feel is that the scoring system shouldn't be the final judge. That at the end of the day, when you get that top 5 or top 10, especially the top 5, you should really, like you guys know, put it back on the table and look at all of it and judge it, you know, against each other, because the judges do come close, Swami, but I mean, there has been a difference of opinion. Look at last year between Ridgeline and Marc with Green Shock, you know, and that was a very divided, you know, if you actually looked at it, it was probably almost 50-50 as to what should have won there. And that's because there were different terpene profiles there. So that's why it's going to be a lot, you know, it's the way. I'm a dinosaur. I've been doing that contest the old school way. People have been asking me to move it into the spring and to break it into terpene profiles for probably 10 years now. And it finally got through me with this legalization, and that's what we're going to do. Right, Taylor?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be
I think it's a progress, it's an advance, and it gives more people also a chance to win if you can win in each terpene category. And I think it'll bring in participation in that as well. And you know what, Tim, I'm kind of coming around on the indoor because, you know, because first of all, indoor is there. And it is the LA market, as you pointed out to me before. And now because, you know, with the state law, which allows a designation of city of origin, so we have appellation in the ground and so on, and we have county of origin. And now there's also city of origin if the governor signs it. I'm pretty sure he will. So Sacramento has a real indoor growing scene, and so does Oakland have a real indoor growing scene, and so does LA have a really indoor growing scene. And I suppose San Diego too. So put them against each other and then see how they scuffle up that way. Because, you know, with all these fires, Tim, you have to admit that there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, you know, you guys all really should be growing indoors. And so, you know, at a certain point, there's an argument for that. And I think we'll have to always have outdoor. Yes, I would always say that. But, you know, as far as purity of product, who knows what's going to happen. So yeah, indoor, I'm down, Tim.
Well, the thing about it is, you've got, once you cross over and you start doing mixed light, where you're having people extend their crops or they're forced flowering them. I mean, what are you doing? You've got mixed light now. You're putting light onto it. You know, you're already halfway to indoor or quarter of the way or whatever. And it's just, you got to be fair and let everybody come in. And I think that's a really good thing. And then as the cup is getting ready to go across, we have an opportunity possibly to do a show in the eastern part of the country. And of course, where we would be doing it would be primarily indoor material coming out, flowers. I mean, the rest of this country, a lot of it can't really grow much outside. So, you know, you've got to recognize that indoor is going to be, you know, the primary way that people farm in the northern states or some of the back east states. And so, you know, we've got to acknowledge that and realize you got to do what you can and bring that in. And it's all friendly competition. There's room for everybody. And the thing with us is it's also a chance to educate people. We really want to educate people to grow sustainably as close to possible, the best way you can indoors. You know, look, they're bringing LED lights now. All the farmers in the indoors are going to have to be doing LED lights in a couple, believe in a couple of years, LED lights. And you've got, you know, the farming systems of, you know, the power and how people are working it, water and stuff, you know, recirculating and stuff. So if we can teach people how to do this right, wasn't that what the cup's been doing all these years? We've been telling people, grow organically. Then it was regenerative, you know, do the right things because, you know, you're going to have a good flower and, you know, chemical, but people could just sell their chemi flowers back east at the end of the summer, no problem. Now try to go sell some chemi weed or some pot that's not grown that well. It's not that easy to do anymore. You've really got to step up.
Right. Good.
So I'm also thinking about it in a more world perspective, Tim, because I've been corresponding with an Indian man in near Calcutta who's actually got a factory, and they make Ayurvedic medicine in India, right? And now he wants to grow high potency cannabis in India because he can only do the 0.3%. But it's interesting because the place where most of the Ayurvedic medicine and so on, cannabis as medicine comes from India, now they're going back to it, right? But they're going to have to, because they don't have enough hours of darkness, right? They can't really grow outdoors. So you've got to do augmented light in order to be able to get any vegetative size in the plants, right? So all of a sudden, you know, greenhouse and augmented light become really important things.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing in Colombia. They're stringing lights and then they're shutting it down. I mean, they've mastered, you know, depots, and you know, you can see it in Colombia and the rest of South America and the rest of the world. I mean, it's gonna come on. There's
I know there's some seed companies working in Colombia now too. Some seed companies, they go to Colombia, they grow their seeds, and they have all this lighting and light depth and all that sort of control stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's amazing. There's no turning it back at this point. We all know that. It's the next thing that I'm so excited about is you can see the psychedelics that we've talked about, you know, all of our parties and whatnot. It's just coming on so quickly. Every time I turn around, it's like a psychedelic research project or something going into universities. Lauren Gertner, who was our partner's partner with Tokyo Smoke and Haiku, just spent $25 million investing into a psychedelic research for psilocybin in Canada, hoping to export mushrooms around the world. right behind that. So we've broken the door with cannabis, and now we've opened it, and we're just gonna knock the whole wall down with psychedelics, and we're going to really change the world over the next 5 years. It's really amazing to see what's going on.
Well, cannabis is the everyday psychedelic, right? The thing is, a lot of the other psychedelics, it's a trip, it's a whole special thing. But with cannabis, you can kind of dose to that level. Yeah, I see, Tim. All day, you know, it's the day-to-day psychedelic, and then. But the other thing is cannabis has been used as an entheogen, as a real psychedelic, throughout thousands of years of history. The Hindus use it, but they do it as a drink. They have a magic drink called soma, and it's a cannabis smoothie, right? It's infused with yogurt and stuff like we used to do up at Mad Creek, Tim. We used to do these mushroom smoothies. But if you do a cannabis smoothie, you can definitely have a really superior out-of-body experience, and you tend to meet the divine presence in your own terms that way. And so, cannabis is likewise a real. If you do it in the right way, you know, you take a heavy dose, you can have a real LSD trip from drinking cannabis for sure.
Well, it sounds like another brand, Swami's Extra Strength, huh? We'll get that in there. Yeah. Great new brand. You got it right there, Swami. We're going to just lay you in and dose them. Because...
No, it's Swami's Soma. Swami's
Soma,
right?
Swami Select Soma, the SSS.
Not bad. That may have been birthed here today.
All righty, okay, because that really is an entheogenic. It does enable you to see past the fog and the screens and your prejudices and preconceptions and so on.
So you got to have a big warning. Be prepared sign.
All right, be prepared to be looking down at your body with a smile. And, and if you haven't done that in the past, you could be in for a little surprise.
Well, maybe if we get, whether it's the Trump people or whether it's the Antifa, whatever, maybe if we get everybody to drink one of these before they go out, there'd be a lot less protesting, a lot less violence. Maybe they can get together and party.
Absolutely.
Everybody must get stoned, right?
They forget what they're fighting about.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, peace, love, and tie-dye.
So actually, now let's go out to the people on the screen. Does anybody have a question you want to ask, say Tim or Taylor or even Harry and so on about what's going on, and anything you want to pop in? Because I mean, we could just kind of talk about stuff for days, I'm sure.
Well, it's been over an hour now.
Yeah.
So yeah, any questions? Yeah, Brian does.
I have one question. So when you're smoking at the end, when you're testing all this flower and they have the 6 strains that are fighting for the top spot, what part of that experience is the most heavily weighted? Is it the taste? Is it the effect? Is it the smell? Or is it the visual component of the flower? When you're that high, when it's down to those top 6?
I would say it's the taste, followed by and the smell, the taste and the smell, plus the plus I guess I'm naming all of them, aren't I?
No, I don't think it's any of that. We've been through all that in all the other stages. It really is, which one do you like better, right? And that's where it just comes down to. And you know what I was going to say, when we go and Tim says, okay, you got to do the last 5 all over again. You know what? It comes out exactly the way it was. It never, every time we've done it, it's just exactly the way it was. And so it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's it. But there's something about when you're doing those two, which one do you like better? That's all it comes down to, I think.
Yeah.
But you know what, Brian? You know what, Brian, I'll tell you something. I got to admit that Swami and Nikki will say it, that for years, I really pushed the fact that, you know, we had the scoring system where it was 10 points for smell, look, and taste, and then 10 for the high, but it was a double score for the high. And we always felt that the high had to win out, that it had to get you high. And so that really weighted more towards the fuels, the OGs, the heavier flowers. As we've gone along, we've realized that that's not really very fair on one side. It doesn't give a Blue Dream or doesn't give any of those other, you know, terpene profiles a chance to stand up to that. And so that's one of the reasons why we're separating the contest out with the terpene profiles. We'll still have the top 20, but we want to honor those different terpene profiles because at the end of the day, with that high in there, it's harder because, you know, you get down to those 5, like you said, and you can take a heavy OG or one of those and you can hit it and it just expands and it kicks. Well, if something else tastes really great, but doesn't quite have that, are they going to really go towards that? And that's really kind of what happened last year with Marc and Ridgeline with the runts and his strain. You know, that's why we, you know, and look what won. The runts won, and a lot of those judges really felt that Marc should have won. So now you look at it, it really shouldn't probably have over the years been so heavily weighted towards the high, but that's where we were. I mean, come on, that's where, until we got into this balanced cannabinoid profile thing, it was like, what kicks your butt? You know, what do the people in the streets want? Okay, they want that OG that just knocks your head off. And for a long time, Brian, that's all you could get. I mean, really, for years and years, what we saw were, I mean, you couldn't sell it, so that's what people were growing. And most of it was fuels. It was your chem dogs, your OGs, your headbands, you know, your indicas, you know, and that's what you saw. And so you weren't really seeing, people weren't growing much Blue Dream or lightweight stuff because they couldn't sell it very easily. Now we've really seen a balance coming in. You see a lot more women coming in that have different preferences. You see a lot of medicinal people coming in that don't. And so there isn't the need overall to have something that's going to just kick your butt. It's that balance in there. So it's really been a great education for all of us, including myself over the years, to see this and watch this evolve. And, you know, we're all learning.
Yeah. But I think there's also a level of sophistication and connoisseurship in the judges. And it's interesting, like every once in a while, Tim will ask us opinion about, do we have a suggestion for a judge? But mostly it's always been Tim picking the judges panel. And, you know, every once in a while, like I say, we might have suggest because he, you know, want another spot filled. So it's like amazing different changeover composition through the thing. And once Tim picks the judges, he doesn't mess with us, right? And so there's this whole kind of, but everyone, the sophistication about that, originally it was like, yeah, what's going to kick your butt and so on. But, you know, all of us have learned over time about the terpenes. When we started the contest way back when, I didn't even know the word terpene, really. And now I can name about 10 of them, you know, just off the top of my head. And so is that part of it? As Tim said, it's an ongoing educational process. And the sophistication of the judges has likewise increased and improved. And people really know more how to judge it. And like, take for example, the concentrates. When you know, 20 years ago, people would show me, hey man, I got some hash. I say, well, no, you don't, you know, and you know, it just wasn't there. And now we get with our contests and so on, you get the highest level of, you know, Frenchy cannoli or whatever other people making this stuff, 3rd gen and so on. You know, the whole hash making thing has really skyrocketed and the quality is over the top. So it all is progressing. And so in the old days, if we didn't, you know, when we did think, people say, well, why is that the high only 20 points? You know, isn't that what it's all about? And they say, what are you about to smell? And so, no, and not the other way around. It's like, how do we make sure that everything that has a unique quality gets honored?
Well,
hey,
you
Tim,
know,
are you going to have it tested for terpenes this year?
Yes, we are going to have it tested for terpenes.
Great, great. So we'll have the actual.
That's how SC Labs will test it. They'll break it out. You know, going back into that, Swami, we started off with all the locals. You know, it was Bob and Dorji and Fuzzy and all the people we knew that we could get to come and judge with us. And then we started realizing that we're going to have to find the real OG dealers up in the mountains who really saw a lot of bud so they could kind of upgrade the judging. And then we realized that this had become a serious contest, that it was no longer just a friendly contest, but there were a lot of brands and a lot of products that we're going to be making or breaking it off the contest. And so we started really looking for dispensary buyers, you know, and bringing in a lot of them to really, because they're the pros, they see it all, you know. And over the last couple of years, I throw suggestions in, but Taylor pretty much runs that. She's kicking me out of there. And she goes and we'll talk about it. You know, we'll nominate judges, but it's really, and then we've also had to spread it out.
Last year. Great.
Well, yeah, we've had to spread it out and get judges further and further south so that if we're going to have people from LA or from the Sierras, they can't just have all Northern California, you know, Emerald Triangle judges. So As you've seen, we've really worked hard. Taylor and Vicky have worked really, really hard to step the judging up. The thing of it is that you don't only step it up there, but in those concentrates like you're talking about, Swami, you've got to find the best. These guys are phenomenal. I remember the first year Frenchie came in and he was trying to school our concentrate judges and saying, that's not hash. And they said, no, Frenchie, it's concentrates. We're going to have to show you what it is, because he had not even really gotten yet what solventless concentrates were. And there was a whole learning process for him and for everybody to come in, because you look at these people that are doing the finest work in the world, you know, Beazle and Brandon and Thomas, you know, Balls and everybody, our guy Mike, you know, the finest concentrates in the world, Harry, you know. So now that Harry's with us and can't enter, I really look forward to Harry coming in and being a judge, because he'll make a phenomenal judge. But, you know, even beyond the flowers and the concentrates, the judges into all those other contests, it used to be, you know, it was funny, the edibles contest, we'd find people that could actually do 100 or 200 milligrams a day. It's like, okay, who's a beast? Who can, it wasn't, they really were a dispensary buyer. It was who could inhale that much. I remember my son-in-law, Travis, was doing like 1,000 grams a day at the end or something. It was phenomenal. In fact, we were talking about, we were going to have to get service people for each edibles judge to take care of them and feed them at the end, because they were so incoherent.
Right, exactly.
You know, but even with that, Taylor has gone out and we've really found some amazing judges across the board, so that we can really represent the cup and the community the right way, and really make sure that the right winners get it. You know, it's really been a process for this judging.
Yeah. That's great.
All righty. So
it's been quite a great talk today here. I must say, we went way over time, because as you know, we could all talk forever. And really, I mean, Tim and I were just saying earlier today, it's so fucking weird that we can't see all of you in person anymore. And, you know, I mean, we'll take what we can get, but boy, we do miss seeing. Yeah.
Well, it's all, but this way we get to see people from Kentucky and Florida.
That's right.
And all over the world too. So that's another bonus on it. And so, I think we're going to kind of wrap it up. Does anybody, hi Deb, anybody else have a question you want to ask? What's going on with the cup? We're still waiting to find out what's happening, and it's all changing, and that's the way we live these days.
Well, I think, Tim, just keep us posted on what's happening and when, and we'll all be there.
Yeah, one thing I'd say as we go is that the director of mental health from Mendocino County has come out, and the suicide rate has doubled in the last 4 months. And they said something that I think is really important for everybody. They said, we're surviving, but we're no longer living, you know, and I think it's really true. You know, at some point we're surviving, but you look at the suicide rates, you can't even get, you know, antidepressant drugs because they're sold out. You look at people, I talk to everybody, and we're starting to get rocked, because we need that direct interaction, those hugs, that social interaction, that, you know, intimacy with people. And you can't live like, we were not built or hardwired to live like this. And at some point, you know, I see that the Big Ten is going to open up football. I guess they decided to just heck with it. They're going to start doing football games in the Big Ten this year. But we need to end this and go on, because it's not just events, but it's everything. It's, you know, it's bars, it's, you know, just community gatherings. It's everything. Marriages. My niece was going to get married. She couldn't get married, had to postpone it. You know, I had a friend who Tom passed away, and they couldn't do a memorial. They couldn't do a service together. And it's just like, we're going to figure it out, but that's what we need to do as a society. Get beyond this so we can open this up and really go back to living like that, like the gentleman said.
Yeah,
like
hallelujah.
I said, miss dancing with lots of people. Sky's sitting there saying, I miss dancing with people. So do I. Gil on YouTube or the internet's okay, but I really like the feeling of 1,000 people or 500 people down in that pit, all just, you know, hooping and yelling and smiling and just sweating, and just, you can't replace it.
Grinding it out.
Tim will generally be the first guy in the front and the middle, digging a hole in the dirt with his feet as he keeps dancing for hours on end.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of great parties down at Area 101, that's for sure. One of those community centers. Yeah. At one point, we will be able to touch and hug and celebrate again. And we just hope that comes soon.
Yeah, so, really, yes. We love you all. And thank you so much for being here, Taylor and Tim and Harry also, and every one of you. It's just, really, this is our chance to see you. So thank you so much.
Okay, blessings to
you. I miss
you
guys, Swami. I miss you, Nikki. I miss you guys a lot. I love you
We
guys.
miss you too.
Love everybody.
We miss you a lot.
Nice to meet you.
Bye. Bye.
Much
Stay
love.
well, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, Harry.
See you,
Love you,
Harry.
Harry. Miss
Hey,
you.
Nikki, do you want to tell everybody about our? We're gonna have a couple
Oh.
week delay on the Zoom sessions.
Thank you. Jack, where would I be without you? I totally forgot that part. We're not going to do one next week. And Jack will be moving up to a new home in Oregon next week. And so we'll take it up the week after that. And that's going to be with Maya of Om Edibles. And that'll be, I think that's October 5th, am I thinking? Something like that.
No, we got Maya, I think not till November 5th. So we'll try to squeeze somebody else in there towards the end of October. We'll keep everybody posted though. Just stay tuned, everybody.
Yes.
Congratulations,
Stay tuned.
Jack. Good luck on the move.
Thank
Love
you.
you, Harry.
Thank you so much. Really happy.
Love you, Harry. Miss you too, man. You look good though, Harry. I want some of that water.
Everybody.
I want that water, Harry.
I'll fill you up anytime. Bring 2 jugs up.
We're going to. April, Jack, Brian, everybody.
Great seeing everybody. Miss everybody. Take care of yourself.